was so much concentration in the past during the earlier generations of tall buildings about making every square foot count.
Correct.
And obviously, square footage is being expended on other functions just besides office space or rentable space. And it really is a situation, is it not, where you pretty well have to do that to get tenants now, correct? Describe that for me. What kind of investment and what kind of necessity is that?
In the feasibility stage, there's always going to be a component of a development which is going to be of a lower return to the developer. But he has to look at it in the big picture. A high-quality hotel will augment the retail rents, and the retail rents, including F&B operations, will make sure that a tenant wants to be in a development where, again, he feels comfortable that his employees have a place to go for lunch or even dinner. We struggle with the difference between a medium to high-quality food and beverage operation and food courts. But the good thing about it is food courts are becoming more and more high quality, but still at a reasonable price. And there are operators around the world that do want to work with developers who have iconic buildings, tall buildings, grade A buildings in the CBDs of many cities.
Are you getting more choices among retailers as to what to put in buildings now?
Our main, the tenants that we have the closest relationship to historically have been the luxury retail brands. We are really on a name-by-name basis with many of the major luxury retailers from all over the world, especially from Europe. We work with them. They change their brand mix. They go into a developing city. They want to make sure, and they call it kind of a starter shop for the people to actually get to know the brand. And then we work with them so that when they then want to change the branding, they then change the facade of the retail podium, or they actually require more space. I think another issue which is important for a lot of tenants, whether it's retail tenants or office tenants, is how willing is the landlord, the developer, to allow expansion space? And will that developer actually work proactively with the tenant long term to help with the ever-shifting, reducing space, or more importantly, asking for a couple of extra floors in a tight market?
There are so many, there have been so many changes just in building programs in the last 30 years or so. So in the next 30 years, what do you expect to be able to offer your tenants? And consider things like different building designs. What would you like to see?
Truthfully, I'd like to see more of what Singapore has done with the urban fabric of a city, which is a combination of tall buildings and medium-rise buildings and ground scrapers. I think there was a good presentation by the gentleman from OMA in regards to do all buildings have to be just pencil straight, 600 meters high? Can't they loop back on themselves? And, the CTBUH Tower in Beijing. Or we have a development in Singapore, which is 500,000 square foot office building, which is only 5 stories tall. But the tenants love it because the floor plates are 80,000 square feet, and they're close to the ground, and they're across from a park. So I do think cities have to have a very strong urban development authority. Singapore has probably the best in the world. It might be argued that Hong Kong has one that has been challenged because of the density of the city. We don't have much variety in our urban environment in Hong Kong, where I've lived for the last 34 years. But they're trying now. They're not giving pieces of new reclaimed land to 200 meter, 300 meter towers anymore. They're looking at providing something back for the people. So I would really like to see, as man moves forward, that the cities have to be more sustainable from a built environment, that we have both tall buildings, low buildings, open spaces, green areas, appropriate places for people to both move above ground, which could be what we have done in Hong Kong with footbridges, connecting all of our buildings, to below ground, where Singapore is concentrating on a fantastic below ground pedestrian mall connectivity between their buildings around Marina Bay.